Hi guys. Okay, I want to ask you. That's time good. I want to ask you guys to think back to high school, right? How many of you have ever done something that you shouldn't have done, and you were just like, "I'm gonna get in so much trouble." Like you knew you were gonna get in trouble. Like I'm gonna get in so much trouble, right? And of this instance, how many times did you not even end up getting in trouble? Like your mom didn't really care. Like you just got to talk. It wasn't that bad. Like your teacher didn't care, you know. And like of this time where you thought you were going to get in trouble in some odd, lucky way you didn't get in trouble, how many of you were tempted to redo or redid the bad thing because there's no consequences for it? Exactly. People will do what they can get away with, period. This brings me to my subject I'm rebutting from Justin Ellerby's, whose main claim was minors should not be tried as an adult. My advocate had 3 sub-claims, which were the ability to try minors as an adult does not act as a deterrent to those thinking of committing a crime. Juveniles who are tried as an adult are not able to go through the proper rehabilitation, and juveniles who are tried as an adult are too emotionally immature to be tried fairly. My counter main claim is that juveniles should be tried as an adult. My first counter-made claim is that deterrence does work. A study was done by the Institute for the Study of Civil Society in 1998 by P. Langan and D. Barrington. The chances of being in prison increased in the USA between 1981 and 1995 and fell in England and Wales. During the same period, crime fell in the USA and increased in England and Wales. This is basically saying when the crime increased, the crime rates decreased, the chances of you going to jail increased. And also it's just common sense. There are so many crime investigation shows and judge courtroom shows on television now. Society recognizes that we are in a technological evolved era, and the media does not fall short on depicting the new ways to thoroughly investigate evidence and the lengths our justice system goes through to uphold justice. My second counterclaim is the evidence counterclaim. My advocate stated in his second claim that juveniles who are tried as an adult are not able to go through the proper rehabilitation, when in fact a juvenile who is tried as an adult goes through needs to meet a certain criteria to go to a rehabilitation center. In the state of California, juveniles can be prosecuted as an adult through 2 ways. The first way is when a prosecutor makes a request and a judge approves, and the second way is when a juvenile commits a serious crime. To just give you a background, a serious crime in the state of California is basically first-degree murder, you rape somebody, or you have armed robbery. So in California, juveniles as young as 14 can be tried as an adult. Under the first route of when a juvenile can be prosecuted as an adult, the prosecutor makes a request and the judge holds a fitness hearing to consider whether the juvenile should be tried as an adult. At the fitness hearing, the judge must consider a certain criteria. The criteria a judge must consider during a fitness hearing is whether the juvenile can be rehabilitated, the level of sophistication of the crime that was committed, and whether there is any previous criminal record and the success of previous attempts to rehabilitate and the seriousness of the crime. My third counterclaim is that minors are treated as adults in society and expected to make rational, mature decisions. Society does view adolescents as mature individuals in most cases. The society recognizes that teenagers are able to make decisions for themselves. The age of consent is 15. You can get your driver's permit at 15 and a half, and you can get your driver's license at 16. And thus, they do not need the protection from the state. Why should court proceedings be any different? So in conclusion, to reiterate, my main counterclaim was that minors should be tried as an adult, and my 3 sub-points were, deterrence does work, minors need to meet certain requirements to be rehabilitated and are evaluated accordingly, and minors are treated as adults in society and expected to make rational, mature decisions. I like to end with saying, if you're old enough to murder somebody or have a weapon on you while you attempt to rob somebody, you're old enough to deal with the repercussions. There's no growth without consequence. Thank you.
Right, the opening takes a little while to get to the point, and I think you need to get there a little bit quicker. But ultimately, the first point is really about whether or not deterrence works and whether or not punishment is necessary in order to have an impact. You had this all this information about the crime rates in the United States and England and Wales. Did I say it right? Wales. England and Wales, and I'm not sure how it applied. Is it that England and Wales don't try juveniles as adults and the United States does? It was not clear how this illustrated the point that you were trying to make. So that was a little bit problematic. And then there's an argument that says that the media covering all of these issues and showing all the different ways in which the crimes can be investigated, that could have an impact on crime too. And again, I'm not sure how that applies to the particular issue of juveniles being prosecuted. On the other hand, the second point is exactly on point to the issue that the advocate's talking about, especially on the issue of rehabilitation. You tell us in California what the criteria are for being prosecuted as an adult, and you tell us that the judge has to hold a hearing on the very issues that the advocate is saying have to be decided, shouldn't be decided arbitrarily by age. But that's what the judge is supposed to do, and they do it based on an argument that's presented in a courtroom. So I think that mitigates the advocate's argument substantially on that particular point. If you could have a couple of examples about where that has been applied appropriately, I think that would make that argument a little bit stronger. And on your third point, basically you're drawing some comparisons to other sorts of ideas here, and this is mostly a value argument about whether or not it is appropriate, and the analogy is okay. I thought you had a pretty good summary of your position at the end of the speech. You do a nice job talking to the audience, but on that first point, I didn't think that the way that your claims are being applied was very clear. All right, thank you.